You are?
Not yet. It's live.
Well, I'm going.
I am now.
I'm going live.
I am live. Give me that peanut patty.
That's my peanut patty.
Why do you always take everything?
I don't. I need my booster seat set up.
Sorry. Hold on. Somebody was ready.
I am always ready.
Do you sit on a pillow?
Yes, I have to because this table is way too high. We need to get a new table. And we need better lighting. And I need a fan because it's hot.
It is hot in this room.
Whew, girl. I mean, I know I'm hot, but dang.
Once we finish I'm still getting everything organized. It seems like I've been getting everything organized forever. And you know why that is? Because someone doesn't help do anything.
I know, right? You wish you had help.
We've been in this house for, what, almost 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
And everything in this house is done by who?
By you. I never said it wasn't.
I'm aware, but
I'm not
I keep
denying.
making the nice version of saying it'd be nice to get some help because we could get things done a lot faster.
Oh, you just have to be direct.
But I've done that too, and I just get told, not today. We'll do that tomorrow. And then tomorrow she's like, I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to finally get everything done exactly the way we want it, and it's going to be time to move. And then I'll be aggravated.
Oh, no, we're not going to ever move. I don't want to move again. It's such a pain.
I don't necessarily want to, but, eventually... Yeah. We may be getting the dream home.
See, if we were moving to have like the home we want with the setup we want, then that would be okay.
Like we have a perfect setup. We love this house. We love where we live. We love the area. We love everything about it.
Yeah, it's super quiet.
Yeah.
Quiet. I didn't even say a word.
We got this fancy room.
Yeah, we have the movie room all built out nice. It looks good.
But
oh well.
There's more things in life because we're greedy bitches.
Well, I don't think we are. I think we work hard and we try to just
that's right.
Get everything.
If I can get this whole show to monetize,
send us money. There you go. Done.
All right.
Anyway,
yeah, we don't do any of our movie stuff for money. There's no monetization happening.
Oh no, don't you know, babe, that we are making money by this reviewing. And that people pay us for good reviews.
Yeah, that's if you've never heard us talk about that, that's been a thing that's happened before. There's people close. Well, I pulled it close because it felt too far away.
But then you can't see on my shirt.
Nobody needs to see. You can see your shirt just fine.
It says Star Wars Kids. This is my celebration shirt because we're going to talk about celebration.
I was told about this. We're talking about celebration that didn't happen, but I was told this after I wore a Predator shirt. So.
Oh, I love Predator. That's okay. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, there's been this whole ongoing thing is if you give a movie a good review,
and
that people are attacking, they assume that reviewers are paid to give reviewers. And don't get me wrong, I am sure there are some.
I'm sure there are some that are paid to give nice reviews.
I can tell you firsthand that ain't nobody paying me nothing because I wouldn't be struggling in life.
Yeah.
People would pay me
we've
for
not given excellent reviews to things, but like your rule is you always try to find like one good thing to say about a movie.
I do.
Even if you don't like it.
When I started doing reviews, my whole mentality, and this is before I was doing it, because for a while I was being paid through Examiner, and even it was chump change, but that's not why I was doing it. It was the perks that you come along with it and my love of movies. But I read so many reviews of people just bashing people in the movies or the movie itself, and then they talk about how fat somebody is and how gross somebody is, and I'm like, what does any of that have to do with the movie?
Exactly.
And so when I started doing my site, or when I started working for Examiner, before we started doing our own site, which I will say, having our own site is way more refreshing because Examiner, I was not allowed to say I.
Yes.
It had to be a very generic writing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
With this case, I can write however the hell I want.
Yeah.
I got bad grammar if I want,
Yeah.
Not that I want to, but yeah, it's just like, I don't understand the attack. So I always try to find, even in the worst production, I try to find something. Sometimes there's nothing good I can find, but I try. Because I look at, and that's going to play into something that's very a big thing and part of one of our stories today, is I look at the bigger picture of films. What are you doing?
I'm sharing the show.
I look at
you need to
the people that worked on the production, the behind the scenes, and how much work went into it and everything else, as opposed to just this movie sucks. And that's also hard. Right. So, but that's actually gonna be a bigger part of what we talk about in just a few minutes in one of the films specifically.
Yeah.
But today, do you want to give your spiel?
Yes, I was waiting for I was sharing to be shared.
I did all my stuff. I was on time today.
Wow. You're so good. Thank you for watching. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. It has just been updated and optimized for mobile app viewing. So there you go. You can watch it on your phone. It's so easy to watch.
The thing I used to use, it made it very generic. You could use it on your mobile device, but you had to zoom in. And I had some people complain off and on. And it wasn't doing what I wanted for the longest time. I should have done this a long time ago, and I didn't, because I apologize. But it is officially up. It needs some tweaks here and there. So please, if you check out our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
please give me your feedback. Tell me what you think of the mobile version of it.
It's
tell
optimized.
Yeah, tell me if it looks better, if it's easier for you to function. Who knows? Maybe more people look at it that way, because I know everybody's on their phones now. And said, I'm still a guy who would rather look at a website on my computer than my phone. But I look at stuff on my phone.
Yeah, I do both. It depends.
So, anyway, go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for watching us live right now on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find us on the Instagram and the Twitter at Hollywood Matter, MATR. Now, we're going to talk about some movies.
We are, and everything we're going to talk about today, we both saw. It doesn't happen all the time,
Not
every so often. And I didn't think it was going to happen this week, because one of the movies I watched without her, but she ended up actually taking the time to watch it, or had the time, let me rephrase that, had the time to watch it on Friday. So we've got a new DC animated film to talk about. We've got an epic Disney movie that came out. We've got one of the most anticipated movies that hit theaters.
Yeah.
People have been waiting for. Oh, and we have a documentary. Okay. And we also have a TV movie that she doesn't know we're going to talk about. Okay. So hopefully she'll remember it.
I hope so.
But she has seen it, because I know I watched it with her.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So what would you like to discuss first? We have a documentary.
First, I would like to discuss that this peanut patty's all broken, and I don't like that.
You should give me this piece that's broken off.
I don't know about y'all, but I don't like when they're broken. First of all, I'm probably a weirdo, because whenever I eat stuff...
not because of that, she's just a weirdo.
Look, it's broken there. Whenever I eat these candies, I like to eat them straight across in rows. I know it's a round candy, but when I eat a piece of cake, I like to eat it in little baby rows.
She has food OCD.
When I eat pancakes, they have to be in rows, and I like to count how many pieces.
It's got to be perfectly smooth.
Oh my gosh, any kind of dip. It needs to be smooth in the container.
And she's not like this about everything in life, just food.
It is weird, and I don't like when foods touch, like if there's beans with juices and another vegetable, it better not touch. Like if I have a steak and a potato. I can't really make fun of you, because I'm the same way about getting crap on my hands, but only at food. I don't mind eating with my hands on food. I'm okay with that.
I'm not a mongrel, so I don't like eating with my hands. So and I'm not.
But I mean, ribs, it happens. Well, no, you cut the meat off your ribs.
I cut the meat off my ribs usually. I don't, but I will.
I do.
I will if I have to. I'm not a fork and knife pizza guy. I have been, but I will pick up pizza and eat it. I don't like.
I'm weird about my food.
There's silverware. I don't want.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway.
I don't know how we got on that tangent. What do we want to talk about first?
You tell me. We want to talk about the animated film, the documentary, the TV movie, the Disney movie.
Let's start with this one, because that one, I loved it. I guess.
I don't know. We're about to have a discussion.
It's interesting. It's a retelling of sorts.
I'm going to put this out, even though she hates it.
I hate it.
All right, so over the years, DC has been putting out all these animated features. Some of them are based on actual storylines. They're comics. Some are original with some stuff sprinkled in. This one, I don't remember if it's actually based on a specific one. I do know there was a comic titled this and whatever, but this was basically a new retelling of Superman. It's called Superman Man of Tomorrow. It's essentially a brand new telling of the Superman origin. It's the same origin, but some little tweaks. Nothing that's making it not Superman or anything like that. It's just a little different way of going about it. Now, a lot of the DC films, the animated films, have been awesome. All of them have been really awesome.
Yeah.
But there's standalone ones like The Killing Joke, The Dark Knight Returns, Gotham by Gaslight. Those were like one-off stories. I love that one too. But then there was the ones that, like the last one we talked about, which was the Justice League Dark thing. That was kind of the culmination of kind of the ongoing stories that they've had too, which is the Batman Teen Titans stuff. This is another one that's kind of a one-off story. So this is not connected to the other Justice League, Batman ongoing story. This is a new one that's a one-off. All right. So I haven't told her anything I thought about this film yet. She just know I watched it. Then she finally had time to watch it because if you haven't ever done it, I've always been against these digital movie things. Not because I think there's anything wrong with it. I like the physical thing in my hand. I like being able to. It was the same thing with Blockbuster and Redbox. I used to be against Redbox and Netflix and all that stuff before it became the Netflix.
You're slowly resistant. You're a slow adapter to change.
Well, it's because I like.
You're setting your way. He has this whole fit about DVDs and Blu-rays being that much different in size.
It's a bigger difference.
Whatever, being next to each other on a shelf. It freaks him out.
It doesn't freak me out. It just looks,
But I
it
think
looks dumb.
We finally agreed we're going to mix them all in.
Here's the thing, though. Let me tell you about that. Mrs. for years has been nagging me about mixing them together because we have everything in here that I've seen. You can kind of see it off this side over here. But that whole side of the room is just movie shelves from floor to ceiling, right? And y'all seen it when we used the way we used to have the place set up. Everything is set up via genre, and then within the genre, it's alphabetized. So we have action, we have sci-fi, horror, we have comedy, drama.
But they are not labeled, so you just have to kind of figure it out.
I know where everything's at. She asked for something, I can tell you exactly where it's at.
I have no idea where anything is.
And that's because she doesn't pay attention.
I want everything mixed together by alpha.
All the Blu-rays were separate, and they were in just a straight-up alphabetical order, so I met her halfway. I said, all the DVDs are set this way. Let's have Blu-rays separate. We'll put them in alphabetical order. Now you can find, because that's 90% of what you're going to watch nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
Well, not you, but in general.
Not me, because I go back to old movies all the time.
Which I don't know why she can't find them, because they've been in the same place for years. Anyway, so here's the thing is, after much fighting, I kind of stared at everything, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do what she wants. Let's merge everything together. That was 4 months ago, and I can't get her to come help me put it all together.
Well, why don't we do that tomorrow?
Okay, I've been asking for months.
Okay.
Because it's not a one-person job. Because
no,
normally when I organize all this
stuff,
stuff,
we're going to do this.
Well, I already know how we do it. It's very simple. But
okay.
Every time I work in this room, it's usually at 11 to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I'm not doing
11
that.
11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm in here by myself working, trying to get. And then she comes and goes, "Oh, it looks so nice."
I need my beauty sleep, so we're not doing that.
You don't need to sleep a lot longer.
Wow.
Anyway, so let's dive into Superman Man of Tomorrow.
Okay. So I enjoyed the movie. I'm thinking that if you're a regular fan, like the story's not exactly right.
It's accurate.
Kind of, but not really. It's a little bit different. And I always find it convenient that all your characters just suddenly appear in the story. Whereas I feel like there should be more development, and it just like immediately like, here's this guy, here's this guy, here's this person.
Are you talking about like Lobo just showing up?
Well, not just that, but he's
on the cover, so it's not like he's a surprise.
Can I say who the other person is?
You talking about this one? Or you talking about Lex?
Lex
is in every story. There's no surprise there.
I know, but the other guy that shows up too, and this one lady, it's like, this is just very convenient that all these people will just suddenly
That's kind of how the story was. Is they were just all, they've always just all been there.
I guess, but it just seems very
this
convenient.
What I was saying a while ago that I didn't finish is the Movies Anywhere app. When we shifted to mostly streaming and digital, I started realizing this Movies Anywhere thing would be beneficial if we were traveling, whatever else. And it's worked out really good for when she's at work and needs to watch something, and I'm at home. Like there's even times that I have the physical thing, and I'm like, I don't feel like getting it. I know it's on Movies Anywhere because I put it on there, so now I can watch it streaming.
That's what I'm
but here's the thing: is they put them. If you get it, like in this case, it's 4K. When you get the code, it's actually 4K on that as well. It's not.
So it could be on the 4K TV.
And then there's some of them. Now I've been going back in the middle of the night and going through the set and uploading. So there's like one I put the. I know everybody's gonna get it. This movie sucks, but the Green Lantern movie. It actually the one code from the Green Lantern movie put on the Green Lantern movie and the Green Lantern animated film. So it gave me 2 movies for the price of one. So
that's kind of cool.
Anyways,
I liked the art. I liked the animation of it. It's different, isn't it? You didn't like it?
This has been my least favorite DC movie that has come out so far.
I liked it. It didn't look like
I did not like the art initially. It looked cheap to me. If you've ever seen the show Archer, which I do love that show, it looked very much like that with the really thick, bold border lines.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the animation was as crisp as it normally is. It felt like somebody had made like a web series, you know, on kind of on a lower end. Now, once it gets through about probably the first 20-30 minutes, I was kind of I felt like it started streaming a little bit better. It started working a little bit better. I was over it because I think it was such a bold,
it was very cartoony.
Well, and it was such a bold change from what they normally do.
And he doesn't look like he normally does.
And that didn't even bother me. It was everybody. It was just that thicker, bold lines. I don't think works for everything.
I like it.
And like I said,
I'm not an artist.
I know you've never seen the show Archer, and
I've seen it. I've seen it when you watch it.
Yeah, and I love Archer, but that show started that way. So I think when you see everything else, and then it kind of looks so different, it took a minute to just get back to it.
It's the Lion King.
With that being said, I did enjoy the film. I love anything Lobo. So when Lobo shows
Yeah, and
up,
I had to ask him, like, who's this Lobo? Is he good? Is he bad?
what
What's up?
sucks, what it did do though is reminded me of my disappointment because in the show Krypton, the live action show, Lobo showed up in season 2, a live action version. And they did him really well, and he was supposed to get his own spin-off show. Oh, that's the second or third time you've shook your head and banged it on something.
What are you doing? Are you okay?
That was his head.
Are you okay? Sorry.
But Sci-Fi decided to not do as many, I think, new series shows, and they scrapped the Lobo shows.
Oh, that's too bad.
Anyway, but no, it's good. It's got some good action in it. It's entertaining. It's just the origin of Superman. I mean,
yeah. How many times are we going to tell that same story? I mean, it's a different twist on it.
Yeah, this was just, I think,
Lobo's there, but.
Well, this was just a new take on it, and kind of, why not? You know, the next one they're going to be doing is one I'm more excited for, but I don't know how that's going to work. But it's the whole death of the family thing. It's not the normal death of the family story. It's a mix of anything. But I was really surprised. It's not. Well, I shouldn't be surprised that you liked it as much as you did, because usually that makes more sense. So because usually when you like it, it's the one that I don't like as much.
I know, right? Why does that always happen? It's because you don't know what's good.
Anyway,
no, it was.
And
it was different, and I liked it.
Per usual, it has. I didn't watch this yet, so I didn't get a chance to. But it does have a whole thing about Lobo. Maybe we'll watch it.
Okay.
So it tells you, I guess, more Lobo's story, so you can kind of learn more about him.
Okay.
There's also a Martian Manhunter, Lost and Found. I don't know if that's going to be. If it's just because he shows up in the film, which he shows up anytime Justice League's around. I don't know if it's just a featurette about him or if it's a short animated thing. Sometimes they have them. This also has a couple of cartoons from the DC Vault that they already throw on there. And, of course, to look at the next animated film, but I don't know what that is. It doesn't say it on here, and I didn't watch it on here like this. So I don't know what the next film is. I'm pretty sure it's the Death of the Family or whatever they're calling it, Batman, which is actually... It's that, I think I showed you the trailer. It's that one where it's like a choose your own adventure.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
So it's basically taking, if I'm not mistaken, it's taking the Red Hood film they already made, and then they added footage or they twisted stuff so you can redirect your story to new things.
I like that. Did you read those books when you were a kid?
I did. I read a lot of them all the time.
Did you go back and like mark which one you chose? So you
no,
could choose
I would
the
just
other
read
one?
it again, and then I wouldn't. Most of them I didn't reread the same book. I went through whatever adventure happened. I moved on.
Oh, see, I'm one of those people. Like I would mark, like I would go through and be like, okay, this time I'm going to pick the first option on all of them, and then second to pick the second option on all of them. So I did that.
Well, that's not even really choosing. That's just you made a decision ahead of time and then read it.
Yeah, because I wanted to see all the different options.
Choose your own adventure should be based on you get to that point and you.
Okay, well sometimes I did that, but I would mark a
little. It's too late.
I get a little thing at the tableau. That way, when I come back, I pick a different one.
You're a nerd.
Okay,
all your choose your own adventure probably books were all in Spanish and.
No, they were
probably
normal
about
books.
Choosing which fields you were going to work in and.
Wow, that's not racist at all.
No, not at all. All right. So Superman Man of Tomorrow will be available this week on the Blu-ray, DVD, and the 4K from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment in DC.
There you go. Are you hot?
I am, but I was born this way. Boom!
I'm fanning you.
All right, what do you want to talk about next, my dear?
Let's pick
one of them's not even on there.
Yeah, we can talk about that one.
All right. So the next one is another one. I just posted a review for it today. It's kind of a quick review, but this was a HBO movie.
Mm-hmm. I'll talk about this other one too.
And it's based on a true story. It's called Bad Education, starring Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney. Do you remember the movie?
I do remember this.
The whole thing was about. It was a true story.
We saw this so long ago.
It did because it was. I think it was. Him and the film were nominated for Emmys, but for this year, so I think it was last year.
Oh wow! Okay.
But it's just now coming to DVD. But it's a true story about this guy and this other lady that work at this high school, I think it is, and they're like embezzling money or something. Mm-hmm. It's a true story, but it's Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney and Ray Romano.
Man,
do you remember much about the movie?
Yes, this movie is insane because what happens throughout the movie is like there's some slow embezzling of money, and you just think it's like one person. And then you realize it's this person plus their family. Plus, they've been making payments to these different companies for years. And then you finally found out it's like a whole big ring of people.
Yeah.
But then to realize that this happened in real life, and it wasn't just a small amount, it was
millions and millions and millions.
Because it was over years, like 10 or something years.
So they were taking like scraps.
Yeah, just a little bit here and there. And they finally got caught because one person was dumb and spent too much, like in multiple locations on the same day, which if you're going to embezzle, don't do that.
That's always what happens.
There's always one dumb person.
There's always one person that ends up saying, "Oh, I got to buy a Corvette or something," and then but they're like a janitor or something. Or like, "How did you suddenly buy a Corvette?" And which makes people start looking in on you.
That makes you look bad. So dumb. But what I really liked about this movie is Hugh Jackman because he plays one character at the school. Because he's the principal or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's a completely different person outside. And you're thinking one thing, and then it's a completely third thing.
And what I found interesting about it is that he's really, really good in the film, but his character is very likable and layered. And even when you find out some of the kind of twists and turns, you still like the guy. Until it starts more and more starts unfolding, then you realize even more stuff. And then you're torn because you're like, all these students loved him. You know, maybe is it just some bad decision making? Is he actually the bad person that did that? You know, and then Allison Janney character is kind of the same way. Is she was a little more on the fence on do you like her or not? But then at the same time, they're both so good. I love both of them anyway.
They're both crazy,
but they're both great in the film. And
where would I find a review for this?
It's up there on the scroll. It's right there.
Where?
The DVD, right there in the front. Big ass thing says bad education right in front of your dumb face.
I'm dumb. Anyways, this is a crazy movie and you must watch it. And I like her anyway and everything.
I do too. You know what? I don't forget, but I'm always reminded. I know she had done stuff before, but my first thing of really recognizing her and her talent and really becoming a fan of hers was Private Parts.
Oh.
Because she's one of the people at NBC that's working with Paul Giamatti and the other guy with Howard Stern and the thing. She's the first person you see in the movie. When the scene comes on, she's does the one talking about, he was all crazy and about,
Oh, that's so funny.
And I did, well, we'll talk about when we talk about our quarantine movie, if you have one.
Yes.
I actually have two this week.
Okay.
I did the weirdest double feature.
Oh Lord!
So anyway,
because I
don't want to go into this movie a whole lot because it's really one of the movies you should watch.
It, man.
If you have HBO Max, any of the HBOs that you can go back to, it was an exclusive movie, so I'm sure it's still on there. But if you don't have HBO this week, they're going to release Bad Education. It's nominated for 2 Emmys, one for Hugh Jackman in his performance, and one for I think Outstanding TV movie or miniseries.
It's so good.
And it's for 2020, so it's not like an old thing. So he hasn't won yet.
You really got to watch it because we can't even tell you what happens because it's just crazy.
And there's a whole thing with his private life that kind of hit us both out of left.
That's what I'm saying. That's like what?
Like
what? And then the interesting thing is that it was all found out by just your normal average high school person.
Yeah.
Some just high school person in the school found out.
And if somebody that they
crazy.
ignored, and they had ignored them, had they listened to them, none of this would have happened. But just saying.
Just telling you, school boards, y'all need to get it together.
And who knows, if you're really nice and you really pay attention to our website, we might even have a copy of this to give away. So you don't have to find it. You can get it at home.
I love free stuff.
I know, right? Among other free things that we have available. And some new ones that I'll be telling you about today. So, Bad Education will hit Blu-ray and DVD. I think it's Blu-ray, but I know it's DVD because obviously I have the DVD in my hand here. All right, those this week. What else you got, sister?
All right.
You want to dive into the documentary or you want to talk into 2 big movies?
Actually, I want to talk about this movie we watched. You kind of watched the end of it.
I didn't watch that. Isn't that your quarantine movie?
No, I have a whole other thing to talk about.
What is your other thing?
My other miniseries.
Oh, God, that thing. Oh, Lord. Well, you talk about this because I didn't watch it.
You kind of watched the end of it, but
anyway. I complained about it at the end. That's all I did.
So I decided that this week I wanted to make sure I checked out the top 10 on the Netflix list, which we've seen number 1, which is Cobra Kai. I'm so glad everyone else has finally caught up with us. We've been there for 2 years. Where have you been? And then someone was like, no one pays to watch movies on YouTube. I'm like, well, we did, so you can't say no one. Maybe nearly no one.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I didn't understand. Like, I get people not wanting to pay YouTube Red because it really, the only reason we paid for YouTube Red was to watch Cobra Kai.
But I love it now because I play so much music. Like, that's where I stream my music.
I get that.
You can do it without commercials.
But some of the people that I was seeing posts about like that, like even a friend of ours that mentioned that nobody pays for anything. I get that. But the start of that conversation with somebody else was like, well, now that it's on Netflix, I'm willing to watch it, but I'm not willing to pay for anything on YouTube. And I'm like,
you pay for Netflix?
That's just being a cheap ass, is what that is.
Who knows?
But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
So earlier this week, the number 2 thing on Netflix was this movie called Love Guaranteed, which I am so excited about because it has Rachel Lee Cook, who I love from all of the little teen movies back in the day. And it also has Damon Wayans Jr. And it's basically, he has gone on like nearly 1,000 dates on this love site called Love Guaranteed.
Ran by Heather Graham, and we haven't seen it forever.
I know.
I think she's going to be in The Stand, the new Stephen King miniseries.
Oh, good for her. So basically, the Love Guaranteed website dating app has a guarantee that you will find love. And he's like, that's not true. So he's suing the dating app. I wonder how many lawsuits against dating apps there are.
I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard anyway, in real life or in court. Because I'm like, if you're dumb enough,
babe.
No. I'm not saying dumb for going on a dating app. I get it. We know people that met on dating apps.
I do too. They've been married forever. Yeah,
I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about, if you're dumb enough to see a thing that says love guaranteed, or we guarantee you'll fall in love, then you're stupid because you know darn well there's no guarantee of anything in the world.
Wow.
Now, if you follow through the 1,000 dates or whatever it is in this movie, and you think I'm going to fall in love in 1,000 dates, you're a dunderhead.
Maybe you don't know.
I mean, well, no. At some point within 1,000, you got a normal human being is like, this crap is not working. After 10, I'd be like, this shit is not working. I need to figure out a different plan. No, let's go back to the same pool of people I'm pulling from and not happening.
Well, the funny thing is, it does make fun of dating apps. And I think it brings to light all of like the horror stories.
Horror stories. I like horror stories.
You know, people just don't show up for their dates. Or they don't look like their profile picture because I'm using a picture 20 years old.
Was there anybody in the thing where they went to the bathroom and didn't come back?
I know someone that I think that's happened to someone I know. But then like he had
happened
a list.
to someone I did it to.
Oh, no, has a list of all these women. It's like the lady that talked about cats, or the lady that didn't know what to order. Like, so a whole list of stuff.
You're like all 1,000 dates in one human.
There was one where this lady showed up to the dates with her parents, and he had a great time talking to the dad and never talked to her. I mean, so it's a whole list of funny things. But anyways, obviously it's a little romantic comedy. It's super cute. If you like Rachel Lee Cook, you'll want to see it. If you like Damon Wayans Jr., you'll want to see it. And it's just the cutest little, most adorable movie out there. So check out Love Guaranteed. It's on Netflix. I
was just aggravated and yelling at the TV at the end of the movie because there's a whole courtroom scene. I was very irritated by the way the law was being handled. That judge needs to be pulled off the bench for the way they were handling things.
That's so funny. Anyway, so some of these things on the top 10 are a mystery to me. Like, why?
It's because of the kids and different things.
Well, we're now watching Chef Table Barbecue, which we can talk about on TV Tuesday. So that's one of the things. Anyways, next movie.
All right, so do you want a documentary or you want another
documentary?
All right, so if you've never heard of Action Park.
I have not.
Which she had not heard of it.
Never heard of it.
I had heard stories about Action Park when I was a kid. I always wanted to go. Obviously never got to because we were poor, so we never traveled outside of Texas mostly.
But you've done the tour, what's the San Antonio, the church, the...
Oh, yes, I have done the...
I've done that like twice.
What is it called? Not ministry.
What are those things called? Not the chapel, the churches, the monasteries, the mission tour.
Is the most boring
thing
I've ever done in my life.
Twice.
It's awful.
Did you make a wish with the little wishing well at the
No, I think I was excited for the first two, and then I'm like, this is the same crap every time we stop.
Every single.
I don't even know if we finished. I think even my dad was like, this is dumb.
It is dumb.
Anyway,
Lord,
we did a tour.
That's what there is in Texas.
I know we've talked about it before. We did a tour of Texas one time when I was a kid. And because we didn't have money to fly or travel, so if we were going to do anything, it had to be a long drive.
Nice too.
Until I was, I was on a plane once when I was like 14 to Amarillo, so still didn't leave Texas. Not again until me and you got married.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad I've been able to take you somewhere.
And then of course I got a job where it involved me traveling, and then
my job was traveling.
Then I've been to Thailand and England and Italy and all these Japan, all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago. I don't remember the exact date now. I'm sorry. Called Action Point,
I'll find it.
which is a movie starring Johnny Knoxville, and it is a fictionalized
2018.
version. Thank you. A fictionalized version about Action Park,
Mm-hmm.
where he basically used the jackass mentality of him doing all of his own stunts. So he was riding the rides and all this stuff and getting drunk for real. So they rebuilt some of these real rides that were dangerous, and he got hurt more on that movie than he's ever gotten hurt on Jackass. So anyway, HBO
Why does
Max.
he do that?
Huh?
Why would he do that?
It's for the art of doing stuff.
That's dumb.
I would talk crap about him, but I've done a bunch of crap for nobody watching.
You're really dumb.
I jumped off roofs of houses and.
Well, that's different. I've
Jumped
done that.
I
landed on a mattress.
I landed on the front yard.
Oh, you're dumb.
I jumped off the roof of my neighbor's house while sitting in a lawn chair into a swimming pool.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't end well because that lawn chair snapped in half and stuck me right in my patushka.
Anyway, sorry.
I used to dive roll over chain link fences, and one time my overall shorts thing got caught and it hung me upside down with my pants half hanging off and my face slammed into the fence in front of everybody. So I had to take my pants off to get off of it and fall out of it. Anyway, but HBO Max has this documentary called Clash Action Park.
Like
and it's
class
all
action.
And it's
Class action.
Yes, Class Action Park.
Okay.
It's all about kind of the history, the rise and fall of Action Park, if you will. Now, you going into this, if you don't know what Action Park is,
No
I
idea.
believe it was outside of New Jersey, right?
Yes.
It was a amusement park, like a Six Flags type of Wet and Wild,
Wet and Wild, I guess.
kind of water park, roller coaster-ish kind of thing. They didn't have roller coasters, but that kind of thing. That was considered the most dangerous amusement park ever, because people died there and were always broken or hurt or whatever. Now, you knew nothing about this.
Knew nothing. I didn't know this place existed.
Oh my God! So let's talk to you about this.
I would have never gone anyway.
Yeah, and they had a few celebrities on there that talked about and old employees and people like that. So, what was your thoughts on this film and the
This
park?
place is insane. Like, first of all, the guy that owned it is like, "Hey, let's build this water slide, and I want it to do this." But they didn't get an engineer to build it. They just built it.
He had an idea. He drew it out, and they built it.
But
And then they tested it by throwing dummies down it.
that's not how you build rides. There's a thing called engineering, and you've got to make sure that the velocity, like it was this thing with the loop.
It was a water slide that came straight
down.
really fast, and then right at the end had a loop that would shoot you out. It was like
The actual engineer afterwards on the documentary, like there's two places where you can feel the force of a 3G or 4G or whatever it is. It's like going into space and riding the slide. That is not supposed to happen on the planet. But here's the problem. If you were, this is crazy, just this one ride. If you were too big, you would get stuck in the loop. And they have a hatch door in the top. If you were too small, you wouldn't even make it up the loop. And then somebody else would already be coming down.
You know, smashing it. And I remember being on water slides that kind of shit happened, where you'd get stuck in it and someone else would come and smash you and knock you through them.
And
this was at safe parks.
And then there were some where, like, if you're just right, you'd still come up the loop, but then you'd hit to continue.
Oh, that
back
was
down.
always the worst. If you're on a slide,
that's not okay.
I've been on slides like that where you go up and then you maybe don't have the right speed, or you turned wrong or something, and you get halfway through a loop and then you just fall straight. And you either land on the back of your head, or you land on your stomach or your ribs, or it's awesome.
Not okay. But
my favorite part of that, and being a documentary, it's not really a spoiler, but it is talking about that side, because it goes through every section of the park. So it talks about each ride, what happened on each ride, what happened in the wave pools and the go-karts and all the different things. But my favorite part of that loop slide was they were talking about how people would come out of there with lacerations or bruises and beat up and all that kind of stuff, and blood from the mouth. And then all of a sudden people started coming out with lacerations, and they couldn't figure out what was causing it. They get in there, and it's from people's teeth that had gotten their teeth knocked out before, were stuck in there, and people were getting cut open with people's teeth. Like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
But a lot of the rides in that water park were that way, where he just came up with an idea, but they didn't really get an engineer to approve it or to draw the plans. And
Who needs a plan?
it's just crazy. And then a lot of these things, they were just building them with whatever materials they found, not realizing that you can't just build a ride out of PVC pipe.
Yeah, but there's the whole thing with the PVC, and they didn't know it expands.
It expands in the summer and it contracts in the winter. Like, you can't do that. You have to use metal of some sort. So they were just making up things as they went along. And I'm like, how did this get approved?
Nobody approved it.
Like, no one approved it. There was no laws of this. So that was that. I think the sad one to me was actually the wave pool. You would think in a wave pool you'd be safe.
Well, you would think, but I went to the wave pool a lot when I was a kid. Like, it used to freak me out when I first experienced the wave pool. I'm like, this is not okay. And then I realized this is awesome. We'd wait till the waves are going. We'd get to the deepest in the pool. And it was like 15, 20 feet, I think. Mm-hmm. And we would get into that end while the waves are going and jump into the deep end while the waves are happening. You have to remember, a wave goes over, you go to come up, suddenly the top of the water is way higher. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't relax, you'll panic and start drowning or whatever. So I remember in normal wave pools, it had lifeguards that were actually working and doing stuff. Always somebody was being pulled out of the wave pool, or I don't know how wave pools stayed in existence. I don't think any exist anymore.
I just don't see how
I wonder if the one in Garland is still there over at Audubon.
I don't think so, but I just don't understand. Like, people died in this wave pool at this park.
Did they say, like, was it 2, 3?
2 or 3. But they did interview the parent of the first person that died, and she has the same question I had. Like, if one person dies, why is it still open? Or why haven't you drastically changed it? But they didn't.
I think that whole section of the documentary was there. So honestly, not because it wasn't part of the history or anything, and it should have been there. But I think it was also to try to make sure that they weren't glorifying everything. Because up until that point, you're hearing these horrific stories, and you're hearing from people that work there, people that went there, and all this stuff. But it's very lighthearted because everybody's like, this is just what it was. It was crazy. And
it's insane.
No, we shouldn't have been doing this. The people that went there that had been through stuff like this were like, if you didn't go to Action Park and didn't come home with a scar, then you were a puss or whatever. And so I think they had to put that shift to see what was kind of and it was also important to understand the downfall of Action Park, because that was what was the downfall of all the different injuries, and people were constantly being carted out on stretchers and coffins and whatever else.
I mean, like, they had like the little go-kart race section, but there was no speed limit on the go-karts. Like, they flipped them so you could go as fast as you wanted, and it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And
my favorite was that they had tanks. They were shooting the tennis balls, and they're telling a story about it.
On fire.
No, there was one guy had snuck in and got gas and started lighting the tennis balls on fire and shooting fire tennis balls at other tanks.
Like, that's not cool.
And so then it caused fires everywhere. It's like, that is the most awesome and horrifically dangerous thing ever.
It's so dumb. This place seems insane.
This documentary, I saw another friend of mine post about it, but this documentary is a real testament of confusion of how our generation is still alive.
Yeah.
Like,
this is 80s, right?
Yeah, because I think it was 70s into 80s. But if you really think about all this stuff at Action Park, you also think about, like, our childhood. Like, I know you had a safe childhood, but the generalization, the realization of our childhood of not everybody wore seatbelts for the longest time in normal cars.
No one
riding in the back of pickup trucks, and
well, we'd be back in the back of a Suburban.
Yeah, get thrown around if they're slim on the brakes.
What's the thing that everybody wanted?
The Bronco?
No, like
Pinto?
No, the car.
Station wagon?
The station wagon.
No, everybody wanted a station
wagon. Whatever. We'd be in the back of, like, a station wagon with there are no seats and.
Oh yeah, my mom had
just in the back.
My mom had a puke green Pinto.
Oh,
I mean, that thing was just steel. Like, this is not a joke. She once got the front end clipped by a fire engine. Didn't even dent that car. She pulled too far out, and the fire engine was hauling ass with its lights on. Clipped the front of her car. It spun the car this way. She just pulled it back and then kept going. Didn't seem bothered that a fire engine just hit her. Well, and then there was no scratch on that car. Mom. But I remember being in the back seat and her slamming on the brakes, and it threw me from the back seat all the way face first into the dashboard. She literally just grabbed me, pulled me back to the chair, and said, "That's what you get. I told you to sit down." Didn't look if see if I was bleeding.
The same thing happened to me. We were in my dad's van, and like these things didn't even have seatbelts in the second or third rows. And so I was sitting there and sitting on brakes. I totally went falling into the middle console area, and I was little, and I feel like I landed like this. And my mom's like, "Are you okay? Go sit down." I'm like, "Okay."
That's the difference between our generation and the new generation.
But she did ask if it was okay. She's like, "Okay, sit down."
Well, my parents never asked if I was okay. They'd always yell at me for whatever, because usually whatever happened, it was my own doing. And then if I was upset, they would be like, "Calm down.
Like, don't cry. You're okay."
Like I'll never forget. I was telling you, recently we had tragedy in our family, and I had to start doing the lawn again. And
that's the tragedy.
That's the tragedy, that I had to start doing lawn work myself.
Here's the tragedy: is because of COVID, we're low on the extra funds to get the mowed.
We're not so much low. We realized, because we were home. We realized how much we were spending on doing the lawn work.
Which,
and we were
during
spending
a normal time, it's not bad.
Well, and we also wanted to keep Mr. Dominguez working too.
I love that man. But, and we're gonna get him back next year.
But we decided, you know what? Let's just take a break. Tragedy. I'll do it myself. So yes, we hit hard times. So I had to start mowing my stuff again.
Had to start mowing.
But anyway, that's where it comes from. Now I've been doing it for almost a month and a half. But what? But the story came up about, because I had my weed eat for the first, up until a month ago, I had not mown a lawn, touched a lawnmower, weed eater in like 15 years, if not longer. I was probably mowing when we first got married, so it's been probably about 10 years, we'll say.
At least 10.
Because it's almost 14 years, right? Be 14 or 15 this year?
14.
14, yeah. So at least 10 years. So, but it reminded me of a story, and this goes right into the whole thing, is we had a gas weed eater, and I was a little kid, and I couldn't start this thing by myself, right? I wasn't strong enough to, you sit there pulling it. And so once I had that thing going, I didn't turn it off.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't want to do that. And it
didn't turn off when you let go of the button. Like I have an electric one now. You let go of the button, it turns off. It's all safe. This one just keeps running on gas, and you have to push a button to turn it off. And so to go in the backyard, I was going to open the gate. So I'd hold it with one hand like this, open the gate with the open hand.
That already doesn't seem
right, which was fine. But when it's on, the thing is still spinning.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
But it was spinning slower. Man. So I'm holding it like this. I opened the gate, and I had a Labrador back then named Jake.
Hi, Jake.
And he jumped on the gate because he wasn't like Vader, who would stay here. He would take off running. And he hit the fence, which the fence didn't hit the weed eater. The weed eater then hit my leg, and it just ate up my shin, right? Skin and blood, and it looked like somebody had taken a whip to my leg, right? And so I remember stopping, my dad coming over there and going, "What happened? Not, are you okay? What happened?" And you look down, and my whole leg is covered in blood. And I'm like, I was trying to do this because I couldn't start it, and the dog, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "All right, well, go clean it off and then finish the lawn." I'm like,
exactly.
All right. So I wiped it off, cleaned it up, finished the lawn. And then when I finished, then he yelled at me. He's like, "Why haven't you put any hydrogen peroxide on that? Go clean up your leg. What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "You told me to finish the lawn." He goes, "Well, are you finished? Then go clean your leg." That's how his life was. And my dad wasn't abusive. It was just like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
That's also why I probably have such a high pain tolerance, because now I just ignore everything.
Yeah, you do. Oh, well.
Anyway, so do you have anything else about this movie to do?
This movie is insane. You need to watch it, and I can't even imagine that they didn't get shut down sooner.
Yeah, it's amazing how long. And it's funny how it's broken down from like actual old footage of the park. And if you look at the footage, it's like, this place looks fun. And then you hear the stories of what happened and how it was handled, and somebody made a perfect comparison. Is this was basically an 80s camp movie brought to life.
Yes.
Because there was like all the park people that worked there were all teenagers. They were all having sex and doing drugs in these little huts and not paying attention to anything. It's probably like watching the movie Meatballs in real life. You know what that is, I'm sure. But
yeah.
Anyway, Class Action Park is on HBO Max now. You should check it out.
Watch it.
It's really great.
But I have to pay for HBO Max. Okay, sorry. I'm not making fun of y'all, but I am.
All right, so which one do you want to go with? Our new Disney film or the theatrical film?
We can go with Disney.
All right, so this is going to be a discussion with some contention about the way this thing was released. So this week, finally, we got to see the release of Disney's live-action, not a remake, but live-action version of Mulan. It is not a remake of the animated film. It is a retelling of the same story, but it is very much its own movie.
Yes, totally.
It doesn't have the music. They don't have Mushu. Some people were upset about that. I, for one, was glad because it doesn't fit the movie in live-action form.
Yeah.
It would have come off like a silly film. It's based more on the actual Chinese myth, legend, whatever you want to call it. Now, we talked about it last week. This movie, because of COVID, it was supposed to be theatrical release. It bypassed that. They opted to do a Disney Plus exclusive release, but you did have to pay $30 on top of having Disney Plus membership, which everybody threw a fit about.
That's okay.
But our personal opinion is not only is $30 the same, if not cheaper, than we would have paid to go to the theater to get tickets and snacks. But I also firmly believe in supporting the industry. So if I can pay for something, then I am all for it because of all the people that worked on the film, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. I've had people that even told me, it's Disney, they can afford it. But they're a business.
There's not an infinite amount of money.
If they keep affording it, then there's not going to be anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we paid for it.
What does that even mean?
We did not get everybody wants something for free, and they think that because they're fans, they deserve it, which is ridiculous. But anyway, we paid for it. We watched it at home, and now we own it. We can watch it anytime we want, and that's a good thing because I loved it.
I did. I want to watch it over and over again. As soon as it was over, I was ready to watch it again, which doesn't ever happen. So it was really good. I enjoyed this movie. I agree. It's not the same story, and I'm okay with that. I liked it because I felt like I was watching something new.
Yeah.
Even though it was familiar, but it was brand new.
Yeah.
And I liked it, and I liked everybody in it. I'm trying to think if it had any problems.
I have a personal problem with the film, but it's because of my personal want, not because it's a problem in the film. Is like I've talked about on my martial arts shows and everything else. Is when you put Jet Li and Donnie Yen in a movie, I want to see fighting from them. But at the same time, that's not their purpose in the film. Donnie Yen does some cool stuff and sword work.
This thing was beautiful.
Did you see the video from the director that talks about that?
No.
Where she said she had to. She talks about it. She goes, her favorite time of filming was shooting Donnie and how amazingly beautiful it was to watch him with the sword. But she said, but he moves so fast that she had to shoot it again in a slower motion to catch it.
So did they have to slow down the film?
A little bit so that it would catch better on film.
He's so amazing, you guys. There was another part where he's just doing form, empty hand form, and I'm like, and you said something, I'm like, wait, I can't, I'm watching this because it's mesmerizing. And one of the things that I think I love is the big training sequences where you have 100 people lined up and they are moving in perfect synchronicity. I mean, everybody's moving.
That stuff just frustrates me to no end because then I look at my class and I'm like, you morons, move.
No, and that's what I was telling you. I'm like, how beautiful would it be if we could get just a room of 20 people to move at the exact
here's
same
the thing
pace.
Is
it's so beautiful.
We make it work in my class if I'm calling the commands.
Yes.
But you can't get them to, a lot of these things, they'll make them begin and they'll do stuff together. I know it's choreographed in the movies and stuff, but still. I've seen videos of these real training centers that everybody can move in sync. Without somebody telling them what to do. And
it was so beautiful. I think that's one of the things. It was just so beautiful to watch, and I think that's one of the things I like about Asian style cinema in general. I don't know if it was filmed in Asia. I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it's a predominantly all Asian cast.
Is the director Asian?
I don't think I don't remember.
Director Nikki Kwan.
She directed that McFarlane USA movie, but I don't know if she's not Asian. She's white.
But I'm just gonna say Asian style films I love. The costumes, the bright colors, the pageantry of it all. It's very much a showcase and a display, and it's beautiful to watch. But then this movie had a lot of heart to it too. I was crying. There was a moment you're are you crying? Yes, and I literally tears going down my face crying. I do think one of the things I missed, which you mentioned, was in the cartoon where it was the one really big guy and the one tough guy. And we were who's gonna be the big guy and the tough guy? The guy with the black eye like this. Where's he at?
Well, and it's the whole movie's done, and I'm probably saying it wrong because I always do. It's a wuxia. I believe is the genre,
Uh-huh.
which is basically means martial arts heroes.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's every movie that you see that's like these epic
It
martial
is
arts
epic.
flicks like that. And
Yes.
it's a martial arts like Once Upon a Time in China
Mm.
and film Hero, and those are all part of that. Jet Li and Donnie Yen had done a ton of those movies like that.
Yeah.
Jet Li in the movie plays the Emperor.
He was
So he
good.
doesn't have any action sequence. He has a moderately thing, but that's not his purpose. But I think he fit the role perfection.
He did.
Because he feels, and I think it's because you know what he's done in film,
Yeah.
and
He
you
just
know
needs
that
to
that's
stand
Jet
there.
Li. He sits there, and you realize, okay, I can buy him as Emperor because
Man,
we know what he can do.
His costume was amazing.
Yeah.
Like the big gown, and then the cool hat thing with little beady things. Like, it's so cool. And I think the fact that now knowing, like, he doesn't necessarily like doing English
That's why he's
language
been not done
films.
stuff in a long time.
But that's what worked in this was the beautiful accent that he
Yeah.
has. 'Cause
Well,
I
and he
liked
only
it.
did this movie because his daughters.
Yes.
He turned it down. His daughters wanted him to do it because they felt how important it was to showcase Chinese culture and the legend, or the history of whatever. And so he did that for them,
That's
and
amazing.
he has one of the most important dialogue moments in the movie, which is at the end when you were cheering,
Yes.
when he's talking to Mulan.
I was like,
You're like, yes, yes. And it's all Jet Li saying
I'm
it.
crying. I was crying through this movie. It was so good.
Now, there is some twist to the story. Like, one of our friends didn't necessarily like the twist. And I can tell you what the twist is because it kind of messed up. And I don't disagree with what they said. Ironically enough, I liked it for just the opposite reason, but I can't tell you what that is. The fighting itself was good. It wasn't as good as I had hoped it would be, but it wasn't bad either. It felt like a non-martial arts person making a film about martial arts, meaning it was very baseline fighting. It was good fighting. It was great choreography, some brilliant camera work, but it wasn't the tier that you get from watching Hero or Once Upon a Time in China or
If
something
we had
like
had that other guy do it,
Which guy?
the martial arts director guy,
Oh yeah, but
but that wouldn't have been Disney.
Here's the thing, though,
it would
is-
have been too over the top.
No, I don't think it went too over the top, but it really wasn't a necessity for this movie. Because this
it's not
movie's
about,
a character
it's about the
piece.
story. Yeah, it's about her story.
The fighting works in here. It's done well. It's given a showcase that it needs in the way it needs. Donnie Yen, I think, was perfectly cast as that general
Yeah.
character. He doesn't need to be the guy on the front line fighting, because then he would have. I think if Jet Li and Donnie Yen were fighting in this movie, they would have taken it away from every other person in the
Yeah,
movie.
because like everybody would been like, ugh.
Yeah, and
Just
I
watching
love that they gave Ron Yun, hopefully I'm saying his right name, a very prominent role as like the commander that's given the rules and yelling at them, and
Sergeant.
because I've been
Sergeant
following
County.
that guy for years.
Yes.
He used to have.
This dude, yes, I love him.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, he looks to me like the Asian guy from Green Mile.
I know you were telling me that.
Like they have like kind of the same eyebrow and facial
oh my God.
structure.
Yeah, you just told me that. I forgot
What's
his
his
name.
name?
He passed away.
Yes.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael. Yes.
But if you look
I
at him
like
from
him.
the '80s,
Mm.
he has hair like Roderick. It's just long black hair.
Oh,
If
beautiful.
you go to his picture, he's probably got tons of photos. But he was in a bunch of Don the Dragon Wilson movies back in the day, and so I've been following him forever.
Mm.
But now he's like one of the premier
Oh, yeah.
fight choreography and stunt guys.
He's good.
And now he's going to be directing the sequel to 47 Ronin.
Man, and just seeing these people though in that big armor is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
But I really, really enjoyed Mulan. Oh, is he going? Oh, we got to go.
We'll
You
be
got
right
to go.
back. Hold on.
We're
I'll be
not
right
going.
back.
I'll still be here.
I'll be right back.
The dog's getting sick on the air.
Come on.
But I'm not a fan of the Disney princess phase. And we've talked about it on this show before, but I loved Mulan. One, because of my martial arts love, but also it had a different look to it when it came out. So I was really excited to see this film, and I was very, very, very pleased with the execution, how it came out. And I personally think it was fully worth the $30. Did you make it?
He made it.
All right.
Yo, we
But-
have like the best trained dog.
I needed to throw up, so he told her he needed to go
us.
outside.
He makes his face like Kermit, like, and that's how I know he needed to go out. But he is such a sweet dog. Sorry.
But I was talking about how I'm not a fan of the Disney princesses.
Mm-mm.
But that movie, when it came out, it looked different. Obviously, the martial arts stuff. So that's one of those movies I really like. Now, outside of the regular Mulan, we also went back and watched not only the original Mulan, but I guess you had never seen Mulan 2. So what did you think of Mulan 2? We all know we all love Mulan, but
I loved Mulan. Mulan 2 was cute. Like, I didn't know any of that had happened.
It was all kind of a useless
But then I remembered, like, okay, I think I had, or at least I'd seen part of it.
Because it was a straight-to-video kind of...
With the princesses, and follow your heart, and this is about love, and yeah. It was fine. It was just another love movie.
Right. I was impressed with this new Mulan, how much of the stuff they did stick to from the animated, like the avalanche, and
yes,
because I really expected that to kind of be different, because there are elements where they change some of the story.
Yeah, some of it's a little different. There's a few different characters.
Yeah,
I think
did you notice the love thing was changed?
Yes, well, of course, because that would have been weird.
Well, they split. Made one character into two characters.
Yeah, which I think works.
Because they said they talked about how they even thought it would be animated when it was kind of a weird, awkward love story. Mm-hmm. And so they said they changed the awkward love story to create a little more manageable.
I loved it, and I think that was fine. And I liked what they did instead of Mushu. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
it worked for me.
I did too. I wasn't sure if I was going to like that because there's a little bit of a supernatural element that they use in the film, but it works for the legend. Yeah. That I don't believe is any of that's in the original movie. But they do a different thing with a phoenix kind of idea.
And I like how in this one, some people are probably not going to like how they kind of explain her abilities. You know, and I think, at least from my point of view, from a martial arts standpoint, I think some people just have natural ability and natural talent.
Absolutely.
Like we can tell, like when a kid shows up and they're just good.
Yeah.
And all they need is a little bit of training.
Well,
and so I think that goes into maybe more of the Asian culture and the idea of the life force around, not like the force, but like the life force, and how some people are dotados with different gifts. You're given different. I hear the dog. You're giving different gifts and abilities, and so I feel like that's how they explain it. And some people aren't going to like that it's explained. Why can't she just be a tough girl? But I think some people have natural ability for these skills. Like I could probably study my entire life and not look as pretty as Donnie Yen with a sword, because I don't think that's.
If you listen to me once in a while, you could.
Maybe. I don't know. It was amazing. You need to watch this. Pay your $30. Don't be cheap.
Here's the thing, though. I totally understand. Go with the dog. I totally understand if you don't want to pay the $30, and it has been announced that in a couple of months, I believe in December, it's going to be on Disney Plus as part of Disney Plus. So some people are like, what's the point? Here's the thing, is we run a review website. So outside of needing content, again, I believe in supporting the arts of any kind. My wife does, or used to. She doesn't do as much in theater. Me being an artist, comic book cartoonist, and things like this. We firmly believe in supporting the arts of any kind in any way we can. And even if you don't believe that Disney should be charging that or whatever else, like I said, we look at the bigger picture. I have no problem paying the money to make sure that, not necessarily that they keep releasing it like this, but so these things get made. And I was happy to find out that the movie we haven't got an official, I don't think as of yet, not before the show anyway, I didn't see it, an official tally of how well it did on its opening weekend. But it has done well in theaters and other parts of the country, the world. They did get a theatrical release still. It's done okay.
Yeah, it's done 5.9.
Well, I think that's just the theatrical. They don't have the Disney Plus numbers yet, I don't think. So anyway, I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, if any complaint, it's really more the fighting. I just wanted more, but that's because that's just me, because I want more stuff like that.
I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I cried. It was good. So cool. I'm ready to watch it again.
Yep. So. And like I said, just remember, if you have Disney Plus, if you pay $30, you can watch it 715 times before anybody else gets to watch it for free once.
There you go.
Or you can,
I will watch it.
If you want to just invite a bunch of friends over to your Disney Plus, tell them to pay you $5 each, and it'll be paid off before you know it.
There you go.
See? Problem solved.
Or you just charge them, how much are tickets? $16?
If you pay them $5, they're paying matinee. Oh. You get what, 4 or 5 people over there? You've got most of the money back.
I would charge them evening prices. You're being nice.
I'm just saying.
$15 plus popcorn.
Like we originally were going to have some people over, and we just said, hey, donate a couple of bucks. They couldn't come over. Like, okay, then we just paid for it ourselves.
I don't care. I'm going to watch it like 5 times, so anyway, I'll make my money back.
And you're going to you would probably end up buying a Blu-ray or DVD and paying $15 to $30 anyway. So in this case, you already have it. And I might still buy the Blu-ray to go to my Disney collection just to say I have it.
I would too.
What? Anyway,
why not?
Moving on.
I enjoyed it. I like the lady. I hope no one has any complaints about any of it.
There's a whole issue with her, but it had nothing to do with the movie. It had something to do with the police or something. Anyway, all right, moving on. So Mulan is on Disney Plus right now for an early access premiere.
There you go.
Last film that we're going to talk about before we just make quick
mentions.
There's
just so much.
Is for the third week in a row, we made our trip to the theater. And this time, we were back in our preferred seats of the Dolby Theater. We should have been in the IMAX, but I forgot.
I told you, but I like my rumble seat, and they're comfortable seats.
Yeah,
they're
it's called a recliner. Did you already let him back in?
Yes, he's down here sleeping.
The problem with IMAX is as awesome as the theater is, the seats still suck in our theater.
They're still normal seats.
Like we like the one in our Dolby Theater.
Yeah, they've got the nice leather seats that recline. And, sorry, I know I'm squishing you.
So I will say this before we talk about our next film. This is also the first week since we've returned to theaters that I've finally been reminded why I didn't miss theaters. The people.
There were a little bit more people.
And nobody was bad. Nobody did anything wrong. It was just.
Except for that one person that walked by without their mask. I'm like, put your mask on.
And my thing is, we're not freaked out about the mask thing, but it's like
just rude.
If you're gonna, here's why it bothers me with the mask. I want people to wear their masks. I want you to follow the rules, all that stuff. We do all of that. Even if you don't like it, look, the rules are the rules, and you're supposed to follow them. So follow them.
I appreciated like the man that sat next to us, like 3 seats away. He wore his mask the whole time, and he was nice and quiet. He didn't do anything.
You're supposed to.
That's what I want.
But here's the thing: is what annoys me is.
I'm fanning you.
Thank you.
It's hot in here.
What annoys me is like this one lady. She wasn't even on her row. She gets up, I guess, to go to the restroom. She walks past everybody in her row, gets to the steps, and then puts her mask back on. And I'm like.
That defeated the purpose.
That means you're only putting your mask on because you know you have to go outside and you're being defiant and just being an ass.
We sat there with our mask on for most of the movie.
The only time my mask came off is to take a drink of my water and eat some of my popcorn.
Yeah,
and then the mask went back on.
I don't mind.
That's what they tell you have to do. Like it or not, that's what you do.
I don't like it. My face gets sweaty. I'm breaking out all over, but I'm doing it.
But you do what they tell you to do.
It's fine.
So anyway, but we finally got to go see Tenet.
Yes.
Probably the most confused previewed film around.
But this one stuck to its guns that it was going to come out at the theater, and it came out at the theater.
And it is a movie that I think needs to be seen on the big screen.
You need to see it in Dolby. It was shot for IMAX.
Yes.
So watch IMAX or Dolby. Don't see it on regular.
If you don't know what Tenet is, I don't know how. It's been the biggest push movie in a while. But it's Christopher Nolan's latest masterpiece.
So you know that's going to be confusing.
Christopher Nolan did Memento, Inception. He did the Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. And his latest movie, he also did Dunkirk.
Yes.
So this one, his latest one stars John David Washington, the son of
Denzel.
Robert Pattinson, the son of
Twilight, Shiny, Vampires.
I said the son of.
I don't know, Mr. Pattinson.
I don't know who that is. Also, Michael Caine has a small part.
Yes.
I think he has a small part in everything he does now.
Yes. Does he have the shakies?
I don't know. I saw him in that one scene. And it looked like he might.
It looked like he had a little shake. I'm not saying that.
Kenneth Branagh in it, who's director and actor.
And we're going to be seeing him soon.
In Death on the Nile, which he directed as Peru. So anyway, to tell you what this movie is about is near impossible. Because to tell you what the movie's about, there is a synopsis in my review, but to tell you what the movie's about, it's essentially about they use this thing called.
He is son of Richard Pattinson of London, England.
I love that you're looking it up. It's a group of people. They use a thing called inversion, right?
Yes.
And basically, it's similar to time travel, but not time travel.
It's time in reverse.
Yeah, and so that's the extent of what we're going to tell you. And it's about it's a normal thriller, action thriller, I guess. Following a lot of weird shit.
But here's the cool thing about this is if you think about just the idea of time inversion, they do bring up what I think a lot of is like butterfly effect.
It's easy for you to say.
The grandfather paradox is if you go back in time and do this, but it's not like you can just travel through time. There's specific rules to how it's regulated somehow.
Yeah.
And
It is a very confusing movie that makes complete sense.
Oh my gosh! Like we watched it, and then stuff starts happening. Like, oh, that was this.
So here's what we found interesting is
I'm like, okay.
The movie runs about 2.5 hours, and about an hour and a half in, it feels like it's over.
Yes.
Right, but not like it has an ending. It feels like we're wrapping up. We're solving everything, but then because of that inversion aspect, you have to relive elements again, kind of in a Groundhog Day similarity.
Yes,
but nothing like that. And
it's an inverted...
things that you already knew. Like there was a couple moments that I had figured out.
Things you didn't know.
Yeah, but there's a couple things that I figured out early on, but they weren't the way I thought they were. What it was, but it wasn't the way I thought it was.
Yeah, because of time inversion.
Yeah,
but just here from a cinematic standpoint, like I was telling you, this to me is amazing and confusing, and I want to just give shout out and props to whoever storyboarded this.
Oh my God, yeah.
And whoever your continuity people are.
Well,
and your cameraman.
Well, but even more so to me, that starts even further back from Nolan writing it. Because to write a movie like that, there's so many things you have to remember and say, okay, when you plot out something like that, I've written comics and cartoons, and you have to go back and remember a character you dealt with 5 years ago, and what did they end doing? Because you can't do something if they already did something else, or if you already killed them or whatever. And
yeah, but it may not matter because of the time.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies that's really hard to explain. It's really hard to tell you anything without giving something away.
Well, I was going to say the cinematography of it is that since time's inverted, you have to film it. But then there's the other side of the timeline, so somebody had to film that. And then you're following your main character.
And if you've seen the trailer, they run it. A lot of it's run backwards.
Yes.
So they shoot it forward, but then they run the film backwards.
And then it looks like they had to layer, like the guy going backwards and the guy going forward. And that one thing in the trailer where the gun's going this way, but this guy's going that way. That means they had to film it and then layer the film. Did they layer the film?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
This is one of those movies that I can't wait to watch.
There's a whole other big sequence.
Because there's a sequence at the very end that's almost like
a group of people and this guy, and I'm like, did they layer it?
Well, there's a
like really, it was blowing my mind.
There's a really cool sequence at the end of the movie, which is like kind of a big shootout kind of thing, and explosions and whatever. And it's not really a spoiler, but as it's going into battle, where like you're saying is these people are going this way, but everything they're passing is going in reverse. Yeah, so instead of an explosion this way, an explosion is going away.
Well, and then like people aren't doing this, they're doing this. And I'm like, okay, how did they film it? Like I know how they filmed it. And run it backwards, but then I'm like, how do you put it together? And
one of the big issues that happens with any time you deal with time of any sort is the little things they leave out. And they were so meticulous.
Everything.
That it goes all the way down to the point where you're like, there's dialogue moments that mean nothing, but then all of a sudden they mean everything.
And like everything in this movie is purposeful. So but you don't find out until the end of the movie sometimes. Yeah, because
there's one line in the movie that doesn't mean anything. It has no purpose until you see it at the end of the movie. And you're like, oh my God, they talked about that earlier, and you never even thought about it.
It's so smart. That's why I'm telling you, your continuity people and your whoever's at the thing that's laying out, like, okay, you're gonna walk from here to here. The what do you call it? Oh my gosh.
The plank.
Yes, gonna walk the plank. Yeah, well, whoever's marking it. Thank you. Because if these people are going this way and these people are going this way, but you got to layer the film, you got to make sure like you don't step over here. You got to stay in this line.
You know, it's funny you talk about it. It's very much, even though the movie's nowhere near complex. But I remember listening to Seth Rogen talking about making an American Pickle and him playing both parts. So he had had to shoot one whole part of the film as one character.
They're blocking it.
Then he had to go months later and not only shoot the other side, but remember what he said. And if he had improvised a line, he had to make sure he knew what that line was and then redo everything on the other side.
And not step in the wrong
And in this case, he did everything linear, where this other movie is backwards and forwards and side to side, and it makes it even harder to do that.
That's why I'm saying, like, towards the end, once I understood what was happening, then I was just, like, looking at it.
Yeah, the first half of the movie tells you nothing.
You've got to pay attention.
And you're just like, and there's a lot of cuts that feel like something's missing. And you realize it's on purpose because it starts to tell you things as it plays out and reverses it and comes
You
back
gotta
forward.
put your name down, flip it, and reverse it.
That's right.
He was right. at
And
the beginning.
nothing we're telling you is spoiling the movie
No.
because
Mm-mm.
you have to witness it.
But I'm telling you, once I started paying attention to like the little things and the cinematography and the way it's shot and the colors. And even like I feel like even their clothing and the outfits and stuff, like you got to pay attention to everything. And I was like literally at the end, it was blowing my mind. So I mean, I think that's how I felt in Inception too.
I'm going to publicly say this: Robert Pattinson is awesome in this movie.
He's really good.
Everything he's done after Twilight, I think he's gotten better and better and better, and he's done some really great projects.
He is so tall.
He is, but I'm actually, after seeing the teaser trailer and seeing him in this movie,
are you feeling?
I'm actually looking forward to him as Batman. Like I never hated him as Batman because I learned after Michael Keaton you don't judge it until you see it because everybody was like Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom is gonna be Batman, and then
Batman.
Yeah, and then and now everybody will fight you and say he's the best Batman. I don't think he's the best, but that's a whole other argument. But and John David Washington has become one of my favorite actors.
Really?
The guy's like when he showed up on Ballers, he was good, but I'm like he was he's this cocky, pompous guy, kind of a generic character. Then he did Black Klansman, which is one of my favorite movies in the last couple of years. He was so good at it, and he's really, really good in this movie too.
Sorry.
And this is his movie. Pattinson and him have great chemistry. They work great together. But this is John David Washington's movie.
Yeah, it's about him because we're following him and we're finding out as he's finding out.
Yeah.
Really. And it just.
And I'm trying not to pay attention, but I'm starting to see the Denzel mannerisms.
Are you?
Denzel? Anytime you have an actor who's big like Denzel or Clint Eastwood or Tom Hanks, and then you see their kids growing up, they have some of their same.
Ice Cube and
his son, O'Shea Jackson Jr.
He has a little bit of the.
But they all have some same, Colin Hanks and Scott Eastwood and all these guys have not only similar looks, but they have similar like. There's a scene in this movie. It's blink and you miss it. But John David Washington showing him from back walking, and if I hadn't known it was him, it looked like Denzel in Training Day walking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, okay, I gotta stop doing it. And sometimes his mouth is similar, but it's always cool because then you see that light coming through there. But also knowing somebody like him, who went out of his way to do his own thing without anybody knowing who his dad was.
That's true.
Made it even interesting. So anyway, I love Tenet. It's one that I was mad that they were holding out so long. I'm like, just put it on so we can watch it.
No, but I'm glad
this needs to be. If I have one complaint, is the music is a little overbearing sometimes.
Well, and I was about to say that when you brought up
Dunkirk, which is on purpose.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that it was on purpose in this case, but in this case, there's dialogue you need to hear to understand. Where Dunkirk, you're not supposed to be able to hear because you're supposed to be enthralled in the war.
Oh, and that other guy was in Dunkirk too.
Which guy?
The Perot.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, probably.
He wasn't. He was one of the commanders. Anyways, in this one, there's certain parts where the dialogue is in reverse.
Yeah, and if you're like, what?
And that was on it makes sense in the time.
And it's worse for me because I don't hear well.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes normal dialogue doesn't make sense to me. So I was having trouble understanding. Is it
some of it on the phone? Was hard to hear.
When they were speaking to the speaker things to the two rooms, that was kind of hard for me to understand.
That was hard, but part of that was in reverse.
I know that, and that's why I was throwing my brain. I couldn't hear it clear. It took me. I had to decipher it because it not being able to hear really well sometimes, and there's some mumbling in the movie, and there's playing the forward language and the backward language.
I might start getting us the little.
And me trying to listen to it, I'm like. Because sometimes I hear things that aren't there, or I hear somebody say something that's not the same thing. So now I'm listening to them like, am I hearing that back? Is that right? Or am I hearing the proper? So now it's like I couldn't understand sometimes. This is strictly a me thing. This isn't the movie's problem. As I struggled sometimes understanding, is it me or is it the movie? Finding out it's the movie, but it purposely is kind of confusing. But then there's this ongoing tone to the movie. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
And that was overbearing sometimes.
With the time.
Yeah, and sometimes it was when the two characters inversion. Sometimes there's two characters that aren't talking very loud. Like there's early in the movie, there's one with John David Washington and this doctor lady talking, and they're talking in a normal monotone voice because that's all that's needed for the scene. But now you got this overbearing over the top of it. It's hard to hear. So, and some of it's me, I'm sure, but some of it I think is, I've heard other people complain about that too.
Yeah, I mean,
but it does add to the effect of the movie as well.
I think so. I mean, I get it and I understand, and it was even for me, like I was like, and I knew it going in because my friend had told me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be
I've read a couple of reviews that said similar things about how the music was heard. But what I came out of it, and you told me if you felt the same way, is I came out of that tone making you feel like you're in a constant flux of time.
Yes, because I wonder if that's what
it's supposed to disorient you a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what it was like, because there's one part where if somebody does something and they're like, you're gonna feel disoriented for a few seconds, like you can't breathe, and you're gonna feel like the wind pushing you pushing you forward instead of pushing. It seems weird. So I think that's what it is, because I think your brain would have to adjust to the. So maybe that was the.
Who knows?
You know how when you're in a car and the windows are open, it's like.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And you know what's weird is that doesn't bother me.
It hurts me so bad.
I go out there and drop my windows down. The only thing I don't like is the heat, but I have the windows down. I'm feeling great.
But do you ever feel that vibration?
I have, but I think it's on a different frequency or something that doesn't bother me as much. But
I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyways, check out Tenet. It's in theaters now. It's really good. You need to see it on a big, loud screen.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how it holds up once you've seen it. Because, it's a movie I think you need to see.
I want to watch it again because I want to pick and see if I pick up some stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that's one of those that has a lot of things that then you realize, oh my God, this was this whole time.
If I had paid attention, I would have gotten it.
So, all right, moving on.
Tenet. That's that.
In theaters now.
Next.
All right.
That was
I guess let's talk about our movies of the Corona movies of the week.
Corona movie of the week.
You want to hear about my crazy double feature?
Yes, and I'll tell you.
So one of them I brought up earlier, which is what it reminded me is I decided I wanted to watch Private Parts.
Oh, good.
Private Parts, the Howard movie, is one of those movies that I've watched hundreds and hundreds of times. It's one of the movies I can watch anytime. I never get tired of it. I think I'm a Howard Stern fan anyway, but I just think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'll also love Paul Giamatti and whatever. But I have no idea why, but I went directly from watching Private Parts to watching Menace to Society.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Menace to Society?
I think I have.
It's funny, as I was talking to my friend Jamal, who runs Nerdgasms. They have his own, I think it's Nerdgasms Garage or something that he does. But he's also a musician, very talented guy. Anyway, shout out Jamal J Nati. We were talking about it, and I told him about the double feature, and he made a statement about. I saw both those once in the theater, but I've never really been into that whole hood genre, which I love that stuff. And I made a mention that I don't know if it was because of the music I grew up around, because I'm very much into the hip hop thing, but he is too, so that's obviously not the case. But for Danny, Danny's half white, half Mexican. I'm full white. If you didn't figure that out, looking at me.
I think
we were the only two white people in the theater.
Oh, Lord.
And we came, I'll never forget coming out of that movie, loving it. Music was awesome. I love the movie itself, but I never forget hearing other people coming out of the movie, African American people, whatever, suddenly either angry or hostile.
Ah.
And I don't think they were hostile because the movie made them hostile, but it was such that violent tone that I heard them saying stuff that I think was geared towards us, this white boy, and this, made me feel unsafe for a brief moment. Nothing happened, and we left, and everybody was fine, but it was like, that was the first time I saw a movie and then felt out of place.
Yeah.
It didn't stop me. I went to see other ones like that all the time, but...
Yeah. I think that happens to us sometimes. I mean, but I think it's because we're willing to go see absolutely everything.
Yeah. It doesn't happen to me now. I never feel out of place now. The only time I feel out of place is when I go see a movie and I'm the youngest person there.
No.
When it's a bunch of silver hairs, then I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Like,
are we in the right place? But
especially if it's like something that's rated R with like perverty stuff in it. And it's a bunch of old people, they're laughing. I'm like, y'all are somebody's grandmother, but now I'm somebody's grandfather, so I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you watch, madam?
So this
You watched the double feature as well, didn't you?
I did, but mine was completely way off the wall. I don't know why I got it. Sometimes I get in my head that I just want to watch something. And this past week or so, it was The Last Dawn.
And can I point out that she doesn't usually spend much time to see if we actually have it?
I don't.
She just starts paying for crap.
I didn't pay this.
Which is why I have to mow the lawn myself.
This was free on the internet. So it's Mario Puzo's The Last Dawn and The Last Dawn 2.
Which I don't think I've ever seen the second one. I know I love the first one when I saw it on TV.
Yeah, it was good. So both of these were actually
You just like it because it's Jason Gedrick.
That's why originally back in the day.
I liked it because it's Danny Aiello.
Yes, it was Danny Aiello. But back in the day,
and
this was in 1997. I was all like, oh, Jason Gedrick's on TV. Let's watch that. So basically, it's about Danny Aiello. He's the Dawn. He's Don Claricuzio.
Yeah, because it's not the Godfather.
No, it's not, but it's written by the same dude. And basically, it's the story of their life and how he came over and had to build something for himself and his family and how they control, like, some restaurants and some shipping things and, you know, just the basic mafia mentality and people getting taken out, you know, and getting tossed into the ocean. They'll never be found. You know, those kind of things. And then just the drama of the family. And then part 2 carries on where Danny Aiello gets old and he passes away because he's an old man.
Spoiler.
And then who's going to take over the familia? And so that's where all this gets into.
Jason Gedrick didn't take over, did he? Because he is like the non-gangster mob guy.
Yeah, he became the next Dawn.
He's Iron Eagle. That's all he is.
Okay, I didn't watch that one. I have to go watch
You
that.
never watched Iron Eagle with
No.
Jason Gedrick and Louis Gossett Jr.? That's the only good movie he's ever done.
But here's the thing. These movies, I liked them. I know they're probably not the best.
Iron Eagle was like a poor man's Top Gun.
But you have Joe Mantegna, Danny Aiello.
He's got a great cast.
Jason Gedrick.
I remember Coon Coates being in that movie. That's awesome.
That was in the second one, yeah.
I know, but I just remember him being in it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good people in these movies. The second one. So, but it continues on the story. So, in the first series, the Dawn actually wants to get all of his kids out of it. He's like, we don't, want to get them out of the business. So he really wanted to be the last Dawn and end it there. But crazy things happened. People were after the family. So in part 2, you see that they tried and they can't get out of it. Like, you can't get out of a life.
That's right.
So that's what it is. I like the series. It's very good. I've watched it probably, 5-6 times in my lifetime since 1997. And it's back when Jason Gedrick was still hot. Now he's not as hot as he used to be.
And when Danny Aiello was still alive.
Yes, I loved him. And he had like the best, beautiful, dark mustache.
Danny Aiello?
Yeah.
In the second
one? Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Joe Mantegna.
Oh, Danny Aiello did not have a mustache.
No, but he was so good in this role.
He's good in every role.
Is he just like that mafia? Is that just
he is
thing?
Because even one of my, this is not his best role obviously, but one of my favorite movies that I think I was introduced to him in was The Protector with him and Jackie Chan. And he was a cop, and he was still the same Italian.
He's just super Italian. I love it.
Even in Hudson Hawk, he's the same kind of thing. The pizza guy and Do the Right Thing, he's the same Italian.
That's so funny.
I think Danny Aiello was just Danny Aiello in Scream.
Yeah.
The only difference, he's like Jimmy Stewart of the Italians. He was the same person in every movie. The only difference is he was good.
Oh, Jason Gedrick was born in 65. No wonder. He's 10 years older than me. That's why I started.
Why did you think he was your age?
I don't know. I assumed he was. I know he's not.
This girl.
I just assumed. Anyway,
right,
so those were my Corona movies of the week. Check it out.
Moving on.
You can find them. They're actually available on YouTube. You can watch the full mini-series.
Or you can actually buy them.
Or you
All
can
right, so this week coming up on Blu-ray and DVD, Superman Man of Tomorrow that we talked about, as well as Bad Education. Also, Supergirl, the complete 5th season is coming out. An all-new 4K Steelbook edition of the Ghost in the Shell anime, not the live-action one, the original one. And also, which we'll talk about probably next week, they're putting out a 4K version of the Alfred Hitchcock Classics Collection, which I just suddenly got a copy of. I was super excited, but it includes Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and The Birds.
Wow!
So we're gonna watch all revisit those and talk about them.
I haven't seen this.
And then there's a few other ones.
I don't know if I've even seen Rear Window.
Anyways, what do we got for the? I don't think there's a lot of big theater stuff this weekend.
But there's this cool thing coming out on Netflix. This movie called #Alive. It's a virus has taken over a city, and this guy is locked in his apartment trying to communicate and find a way out. And then this one on video demand, which we saw the preview for
We have
the other day.
we're gonna watch
I'm
that
so
one.
excited. It's called Rage Runners, and it's about this lady who's training
Sounds very
to
much
be
like a spit on your grave type of movie.
she's training to be like a long distance runner, and she takes a run through the woods, like a several day run, and her sister's like, I'll pick you up in 5 days or whatever it is. And then there's these two crazy guys out there that attack her and steal her stuff, so she has to decide, is she gonna fight back or not? And she better, because that's what it's about for me. Girl power. Wednesday, let's see, there's another Netflix thing called The Social Dilemma. We'll see what that's
The
about.
most controversial movie on the planet,
Cuties on Netflix, which I'm going to watch to support it because I think it needs it.
Here's the thing, and if anybody knows, is listening to this and goes, oh my God, you're going to support that. Let me explain the story, because I've researched this story. Netflix put out a poster for this movie called Cuties. It basically showed little girls twerking, and they're in these uniforms like competition. So it looks like a Bring It On kids version of a cheerleading competition, dance competition. The movie is not that. It was a French movie. It was bad promotion. It was a horribly bad way.
Bad marketing.
Yeah, because everybody's like, oh my God, they're sexualizing these kids. And it was the worst time to do it, because now everybody's up in arms about, the pedophilia thing and child trafficking. Everybody's up in arms about that except for the ones in cages. But
now they're in hotels where they can easily be sexually
everybody seems to care about
exploited,
fighting child trafficking except for the ones that are locked in the cages.
Well, because they're illegal, honey. They shouldn't be here.
Anyway, that's a whole other argument. But the movie is actually showcasing from the trailer. If you watch the trailer, it looks like a heavy movie that's showing about the exploitation of children and things like this. And so we want to watch it before I make a full judgment of.
You gotta watch it. Is
this actually the movie Netflix is pushed inappropriately? Or is it the movie that won awards and is showcasing the story that it looks like it shows from the trailer? Because the filmmaker, she's been getting death threats and all this stuff, all because people assume from a poster. And I guarantee most of them, I saw a discussion happening that not a single person that it was throwing the fit had gone and watched the trailer for the movie. They had only seen that poster and assumed sexualized children.
So dumb.
Instead of a movie about.
That's what all these damn pageants do.
Oh, I'm aware.
So,
well, a lot of them are fighting about that now too.
I hope so.
Too little, too late, honey boo boo.
Yeah. Anyways, coming out Thursday. This is when I'm hoping causes an uproar. It's on HBO Max. It's called Unpregnant. It's about these teens trying to cross the border to go get an abortion. I'm hoping it causes an uproar.
It's not going to cause an uproar because we're living in a society that we're all up in arms loving 16 and pregnant and thinking that was a great show.
No, but people are anti-abortion and they shouldn't be. They need to be.
But they're okay with children having babies.
I know. So that's the thing. What do you want? I don't know what this is. Netflix, something called Dad Wanted. It looks like it's a Spanish movie. Netflix, Pets United. It's a street smart dog and his group of friends.
Dear God.
What is this movie? Let me see. Limited video on demand. Be the Light. I'm trying to see what's online just so people can go see it. There's a bunch of stuff coming out in limited release, and we're not going to talk about it. There you go.
Next. When does this other one come out? I'll tell you real quick.
Which one?
Oh, next week, in theory, we're also going to talk about the Broken Hearts Gallery, because I think it comes out next Friday.
I'm excited.
So,
is it online?
No, that's the one that we're waiting to find out about the screening, because you have a screening. Either she'll see it at a screening on Tuesday, or there's potentially going to send it to us to do a home screening of it. So, but if we get it, we'll have to watch it.
It's interesting. It's basically about this girl who has had a string of bad relationships, but she keeps like little mementos or things from every person. And she is an artist and creates what's called like the Broken Hearts Gallery. And it actually looked in the trailer like people come and like share their stuff actual too.
Gallery, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I've been hearing about this movie for a while, and I've been ignoring that we saw a trailer for it.
Yeah, that's good.
And I was like, okay, this actually looks like it could be a cute little movie. And also at the theater, this is really weird that they did this. I don't know if you even knew this, but they showed a teaser for the trailer for Dune that's dropping this week.
It was a trailer for the trailer.
Well, and they've been doing these teaser trailers, like promos for trailers being released.
Yeah. This
is the first time that I'm aware of. The only way you could see that teaser was if you saw Tenet.
Oh.
That little teaser of the teaser.
Because I was like, what is this movie?
Have you ever seen the original Dune?
No, that's what I was saying. Is it a redo or reimagining?
It's based on a book.
Continuation?
It's this epic novel.
We'll have to go read
the original movie has Sting in it.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart with hair.
Oh my.
Kyle MacLachlan, I think is his name. Laughlin, whatever, from Twin Peaks. And it's this epic thing. There's a lot of people that love that movie. I want to revisit it because I never really liked the original movie. But I know people that love it. But this thing is like a big deal. It's got everybody in it. The new movie.
Oh my gosh, it was a series of books.
Oh, I know. It's a whole big thing.
I know nothing about this. I'm going to have to go educate myself before we watch this
maybe we
movie.
can see if we can find the original and we can watch it.
Okay.
I want to say it was a TV. I don't remember if it was a theatrical or I think it was a theatrical release. But we'll see if we can find a rewatch that and compare it with the
I'd love
trailer.
to.
So be on the lookout on our website.
Epic, whatever it is.
So be on the lookout on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
for the trailer dropping this week.
It's on Hulu.
Is it?
The
Awesome. And also this last week they dropped the new James Bond trailer that's finally going to get released in November.
With your girlfriend.
Anna de Armas.
Yes. James Bond's not bad looking himself.
Did you know that there's push to try to get Henry Cavill to play James Bond? Which I think would be awesome as James Bond.
I think that'd be good. Yeah.
And they're doing a Jack Reacher TV series, but that's a whole nother discussion.
What?
Not with Tom Cruise, but with the guy that played Alan Richardson, who played Aquaman on Smallville, is going to play Jack Reacher.
Oh,
and he's fairly more stature
to what it was.
Everybody thinks, because he's supposed to be a bigger guy.
What's his name? Alan?
Alan Richardson, I believe it is. Big blonde hair, square jaw guy.
There's a lot of them. What movie was he in? Let's go there.
He was in Smallville.
Okay, I'll find it.
Anyway, I'm sure he's done other stuff. He was in Ninja Turtles too, the new one. He was one of the turtles, so you didn't see his face. Might be Richardson. Anyway, moving on. But that's all for mine. We got to talk about our giveaways real quick.
Yeah.
They got right there.
Oh yes, I remember him. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to play Jack Reacher. So
cool.
we got all kinds of giveaways. If you go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com,
it's also set where if you click on the word contest instead of looking at the drop down, it takes you down. I added a new contest list.
And it works on the phone.
Yes, right.
Remember, the mobile site's been optimized.
So you just click on the image. We have a few contests. A bunch of them are all ending today, but I have a couple others about to go up. We have. Let me move some stuff around here because I'm going over here. Knocking things over. So we're giving away both copies.
Give it away
Sherlock Holmes on 4K. Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows, the Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr. collection together. We're giving those away. We're also giving away a 4K version of The Goonies, complete with extra gooniness. I don't know what that even means. We're giving away a copy of Beetlejuice, Beetle Guys on 4K. And we're going to probably, I think what I would like to do, if you would like to, is I would like to revisit at least The Goonies and Beetlejuice.
I like Goonies. I don't know if I've ever seen it, really.
How are we married?
I have the record from Cyndi Lauper.
I'd like to revisit these two and discuss because I know this movie stresses you out.
I don't like Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice is awesome. It's early Tim Burton. And then we also still give away a copy of Hawaii Five-0, but two new ones that I'm going to be giving away. They're not up yet. One is called The Legend of Tomiris.
That looks good.
Which is about like the epic female warrior storyline. What is it? I was saying a lot of the stuff about Amazonians and stuff is based on this actual story.
Yeah.
And one I'm excited to give away is a movie called Invincible Dragon, starring Max Zhang and Anderson Silva.
You are in love with those people. Not in love with, but
not so much Anderson Silva, but I love Max Zhang. Anderson Silva, this guy is an actual UFC fighter.
I know.
Max Zhang is the guy that's in Ip Man. He was in Ip Man 3. He was the final fight, and then he also got the spinoff of Master
He's the guy I liked, right?
With Umbrella?
The Umbrella
guy.
Yes,
and
like you see him walking in with his little
Exit
sunglasses and his umbrellas. I'm like, oh, something's about to happen.
I think that was
with
Exit
that
Plan
umbrella.
3 when he shows up.
Yeah.
But he's Master Z from the
him.
spinoff movie. He's really awesome.
Good.
So we're giving away copies of those.
So good.
And then, like I mentioned, most likely a copy of Bad Education as well.
So good.
So that's
They're all good.
So join us tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to get some kind of a double feature or something in there for tomorrow for an all-new episode of Martial Arts Movie Monday. It's Labor Day, so we have nothing standing in our way. We should be able to do a show.
Well, now you're just asking for a lot.
I know. At least I should be able to do a show. I have an idea for a double feature. I want to throw past you once we get off the air.
Okay.
And then we can talk about 2 for 2 Mondays because it's not Tuesday. And then if we get around to it, we'll do TV Tuesday. If not, it's just not going to happen. And I'm not going to lie to you anymore. Okay. But then we'll be back Sunday for a new episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live right here on the YouTube and over there on the Facebook.
Yes, that is all.
What else you got, sister?
Thank you so much for watching us. Live. Make sure you check out the website. You should know by now, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Hit the contest button. Thank you for watching us. Don't forget, you can also find us on Instagram and Twitter.
Peace and love, children.
Peace be with you.
We went an hour and a half today.
We did?
Yeah.
We had a lot to talk about.
That's
Hold
right.
on, there's a dog here. I got to climb out.
All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace and love to you all.
Thank you.
Bye.